What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. And as always, I'm glad that you're here. We've got another bonus episode for you today. And so we're going to be diving into a conversation with one of our longest standing clients, Trey, down in Mississippi. He's been with us now for around 2.5 years. And so he lives in a super rural area. So for all of those of you that are saying, I can't grow my woodworking business because I live in the middle of the boonies, this is the episode that you need to listen to, and how Trey has been successful inside of our program for, like I said, 2.5 years now. So let's dive into this conversation. I think you're going to like it. Let's get started. All right, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the podcast. Bonus round with Keith and Luke. And today we've got Trey Hasket on the call with us. And Trey is an OG of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program. He's been here for a long time. Trey, we love you, dude. We're glad you're here, man.
Hey man, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. So grateful for you guys and for this program and everything that we're able to build through it. Not only in terms of the products we build, but also the relationships. It's really, really huge in my life.
I love it, man. So what we're going to do is we're just going to hang out today. And again, our goal is always to just this not to be a super formalized thing, but just kind of ask you some questions about your story, about how you got into woodworking, what your struggles or challenges have been in the past, even what some of them are today, but really kind of highlight your journey from before you joined the program to where you are today, and all the ins and outs. And so Trey, if you don't mind, just kind of tell us like where you live, what you do. So Trey has a day job. Tell us who you are, what you do, where you live, and when you joined the program, if you don't mind to dive into that.
Yeah, so my name's Trey Hasket. I'm in Tupelo, Mississippi. I am a transplant. So one of my buddies says, how do you know somebody's from Texas? And the answer is they'll tell you. I am a Texas boy, born and raised. And so that runs true in my blood. But we have made Mississippi our home and love it here. I am a preacher full time. And so this was like March of 2022 that I heard this guy's podcast. It popped up on my feed, I think on Facebook, and it was something about him being like a woodworking pastor, and I was like, I gotta listen to this guy because that's who I am. I'm a preacher, a woodworker, and business owner, and so I dove into Zach stuff. But I've got family, wife, and 3 kids. They are my pride and joy. They are the reason that I do anything that I do. And really the reason why I started this business, started to scale in the way that I did, so that I could provide for them, so that we could have a financial footing that was secure, and just be able to, not have to worry about the everyday stresses of life. I mean, those are going to come, but then also when you add financial burdens on top of that, it compounds things exponentially. And so, anyways, glad to be here, glad to be doing what I'm doing. Like I said, full-time preacher, my heart is in that, it will always be in that. And this kind of came up almost by accident. Like I didn't mean to start a woodworking business. I was a hobbyist woodworker, started selling stuff to friends and family, and then some people started noticing, and friends of friends asked, hey, can you make this? Can you do that? Said, yeah, I can do that. We started listing stuff on Facebook Marketplace, maybe doing a table or two a month. And that's kind of how we started. And then we made the decision to start scaling and growing. Met Zach and came on in the program. And it's just been nothing that I could have ever dreamed of.
And you started right after me, Trey, right? Or like right at the same time, like April, May timeframe.
Yep. So I contacted Zach like at the end of April, beginning of May, something like that, and officially joined the program in June. Kind of listened in for a little while, and yeah, it was right after you, Keith. So
yeah, man, I remember that well. I remember that time well when it was me, you, and Alexa.
yeah.
So it's kind of like this setting here, but we were all just talking about the beginnings of our businesses.
Yeah,
right.
That was a great time.
Hey, Trey, question for you. Would you mind talking about, part of the challenges that you were facing in your business before you decided to take the leap into the program?
Yeah, so like I said, we were doing everything on Facebook Marketplace, and really, when we started, we were giving stuff away. Like, I think I shared this a long time ago. I haven't shared it in a while because it's kind of embarrassing. But like, we sold a dining set for like $600, like table, chairs. Like, if I made $100, like I don't think I did. So um, we got to a point where we're spending all this time, all this effort, and we're pouring into what we love, which is the craft of woodworking, but we really weren't making any money. And then, like I said, we were getting maybe one, maybe if we were lucky, two customers a month. And I had just gone through this dry spell, a real dearth in customers coming from that. And it was right at that time that, and we're all believers here. I don't know about people listening. If you are, that's great. If you're not, that's great too. But for me, I really believe that God's hand is in everything. And
Yeah.
so I heard that podcast right at the right time. Like I binged that. And he had all of this knowledge and experience through the journey that he had walked through. And so I just soaked it up like a sponge. And then when I came on the program and he talked about having a steady return and a steady flow of leads and customers, that was really, really intriguing to me. I was a little skeptical at first. We probably all were,
I
hearing this
think
guy talk
everybody
about
is. Everybody is.
10x return.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was exactly what I needed in the moment to take us from a point where we're doing what we love, but not really making any money doing it, to a steady side hustle to now a full-fledged small business.
That's
It's
amazing.
it's kind of like you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know. My eyes were not open to the scope and scale that's possible. I was so in this little narrow blinders on selling tables, trying to make $100 at a time or whatever. Um, so I'm 2.5 years into this, my journey. So it's cool to look back on and see how much we've grown. And speaking of that, Trey, what's something that was a game changer for you in like your first 6 months, and then you've been in with coming up on 2.5 years? What's a game changer in your second your current phase, like the last 6 months? So your first 6 months, and then 2 years later, what have been some things being in the program that have been a game changer for you?
Yeah, so first 6 months was really about getting that lead flow and the work that Zach does. And Zach does incredible work in curating those ads to meet our clientele and customer base. And so that was really huge for me. And then just being able to, like, Keith, you said you don't know what you don't know. Like, I didn't know anything about sales. I didn't know anything about like talking to people. And Zach really helped with that. Adding in the community aspect of it, just whenever you have a down day, if you don't think about this, like you think in terms of black and white numbers, like what's the bottom line, but like so much of being a business owner is about your motivation, your why, and your reason. And so having that close knit community, especially early on, that was huge. To hear about what Keith was doing, what Alexa was doing, what Thad was doing, what some of these other guys who have been in and out and gained from the program, what was going on in their businesses, and I can learn from that too, get motivated, inspired. So really, first 6 months, it's about gaining traction with leads, learning how to sell, and then just the encouragement of the group. Since
That's
then,
good.
we have really worked on organizing, and Keith, you've been huge in that for me, helping me to figure out
Mhm.
what is my organizational structure. I remember this was a year ago, August, September timeframe, that you reached out to me and you're like, hey, what are your prices? What are your costs for things? Do you know your numbers? I didn't know my numbers, and how much not knowing my numbers was hurting me. And so that kind of launched me on a path of getting really acute with knowing those things. And then here lately, just organization around shop, organization around production, organization around sales, and managing the people in the business. Not only managing them, but also, we've talked a lot lately, and it's put a bug in my ear and lit a fire under me for how do we treat not only the customer, but how do we treat each other? How do we treat our employees? How do we lift these guys
Yeah,
up and help them reach their goals? So that's a huge for me, at least here of late.
that's good. That's good stuff. Something I just want to add, I was just thinking about that people that may be listening should probably know about you and your business is that you're kind of in the middle of nowhere, Mississippi. Like you're close to Tupelo, but you're not in a big city. You don't have a giant metropolitan area to pull from. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that were like, well, I could grow a woodworking business if I lived in a bigger city. If I could grow a woodworking business if I had access to more people or more whatever. Now, to be fair, if you live in the middle of the Sahara Desert, you're not going to sell anything, right? To be fair.
Maybe one.
Yeah. But Trey is a great example of somebody that has scaled a woodworking business, really not having access to a ton of people. And so if you don't mind sharing, but like kind of what were you doing revenue wise kind of before you joined the program? And then what are you kind of averaging now? And then what has like been your absolute best month ever? Like what does that kind of look like?
Yeah. So before we joined the program, we were maybe doing like 1,000 a month. Like that was a really good month if we got over 1,000 a month in sales. What we were taking home was much less than that.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of where we were on average. And we have some months where we kind of boom, and then, like I said, when I reached out to Zach and heard about the program and podcasts and all of that, we were really just in a dirt and a dry spell. And so my first month coming on, we were just under 10x return for my first month in June, but into of running ads. But then July hit, and we hit like 22, almost 23,000 in July on I don't even know if it was an $1,000 ad spend. We got like 22, 23x on that first really big month with some of those retargeting ads. It's huge. On average, we're in between 15 and 20. That's where we've been over the course of the nearly 2.5 years that I've been part of this, and which is never would have thought like I'd be there,
Yeah.
especially with this not being my full time thing. Just never thought that I'd have the bandwidth, that I'd have the customer base, that I'd be able to do it. Um, Zach and this community have really proven me wrong and encouraged me to think bigger and to think better time and time again. Our best month ever was actually back in April of this year. We hit 26,000, which was really, really awesome. We broke that 25,000 barrier that we've run up against several times. And so that was really, really cool. I'd love to do 30 next month. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that we've tried to grow sustainably and smartly. And at times we've had returns that are bigger. Like I said, when we jumped from doing like 1,000 a month to I think we did about five, a little under five our first month, and then we hit 22. It's like whoa, now I've got to go make all this stuff. And,
Yeah.
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 but it's a very good problem.
And you moved from your two car into a shop, right?
I did. So that
And
was another big thing.
when did you do that?
That was August, September time frame 2 years ago. So it's been
Yeah.
about 2 years.
I just got a memory 2 years ago yesterday. We moved into our current space. So it was
Yeah,
crazy to make that jump. And I think you jumped into your space around the same time, right? Yeah, like September, October
right.
of 22. Yeah. Isn't it crazy though? Like you hit 20 for the first time, and then you're kind of disappointed when you don't get the 20x return. It's like, oh man, I only got 15. You only got 15 or whatever. But it's like it's crazy how your mindset changes and what's possible shifted, and it's no longer this crazy, man, it would be nice if we could get 15, 20K a month. It's just something that is almost expected. But yeah, it's really changed since I've been in the program. My limiting beliefs are less limited, I guess you could say, or however you want to say it. But it feels good.
Absolutely. My disappointment has been other people's dream. And I don't mean to say that like looking down on other people, but like when I'm disappointed at our return, other people would be slap happy to have what we have. And
Absolutely.
so it changes the perspective, it changes the vantage point entirely. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to ask about, and Luke, you can kind of bounce off this too. But so you made the move to a commercial space. You got a couple employees, and you also got a showroom. Like, can you talk just to the benefits of having a showroom and like what that has done for your sales?
Absolutely. So when we were back working at my two-car garage, we'd have customers come to our home, and I say my two-car garage, but like our whole house turned into a furniture factory. Like we had stuff
Yep.
in the bedroom, we had stuff in the kitchen, stuff in the living room. And so we'd have customers like we didn't know from Adam. And of course, we think the best of everybody and we hope the best for everybody, but we just have customers like coming into our living room and looking at stuff we made. Um, to have a dedicated space where we've got hours that are posted that people can show up, they can come in, they can check out things that we have on hand. That's been huge. Um, I don't know that I put numbers to it here lately, but at least 20 or 30% more in sales because people can come, they can touch, they can feel, they can see. And if you're just in somebody's garage right now, or if you're just in your own garage right now and that's all you got, that's great. Have somebody come to your garage, look at what you're making. That's invaluable for people to put hands on product. But to have a dedicated space for that is just really been huge for us.
Yeah, you kind of got to own what your situation is, and then, I mean, you you can't usually make a showroom appear. It's something you have to work towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first 9 months of my journey, I invited customers to my garage, and you just talk through samples and talk about the project. But when we jumped into our showroom in this space, the current space I'm in, it just adds a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
improves the brand. It allows you to just showcase some at a more professional way. So big game changer for us too.
Absolutely. I think it's easier to get away with bigger ticket items. You can charge more because people can come and sit at this beautiful table, in my garage where I was just like, hey, I promise I can build a table in this garage,
Yeah.
and then you say
Yep.
like it's 5 grand, then they're like, oh, okay, but then when there's a $5,000 table sitting right there and they're sitting at it, then it's like, yeah, it's just way easier. And I'll never forget, and my parents give me so much crap for this. The very first month I joined the program, so I was working out of their two-car garage, and I was bringing all these strangers over and through our house, selling them tables at the dining tables.
I love it. I love it. It's so true though. I think what Keith said about like just owning where you're at, you know, a lot of guys they say, well, I can't grow because I don't have a showroom or I don't have a commercial space. And the truth is that there's benefits to wherever you are. So if you are in just the garage, there are actually benefits to that. Like you can be more personable, be more real. It's less of a like a structured environment when you invite people over, and people really tend to take their guard down.
Yeah.
That's a huge benefit of like selling out of your garage, or like if you have people come over to see stain samples or a finished project that you just wrapped up or something like that. But then the benefit of having a showroom is that it provides that legitimacy that Keith was talking about, and I know that Trey, you've been able to, I think, at least close probably one more sale a month because somebody wanted to come put hands on something. They walk into your shop, they see your fellowship furniture sign in the back, they see the 4 or 5 different tables that you've got there, and they can visualize and they can see that everything that they're seeing online, because that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize that are in this space is that people are afraid of being scammed out of money. Furniture is expensive. They're paying two, three, four, $5,000. So for them to just send over a $2,500 deposit on something without really knowing or seeing or experiencing anything other than just some pictures that you've posted, a lot of people are afraid to do that. And so being able to make moves over time, which again, for everybody listening, this was not something that happened the first month. This is not a recommendation that we even make for clients the first month or the first 60 days in the program. This is what we call a long-term branding strategy. This is something that is part of the long-term growth and sustainability of your business. But I think that that's been has definitely contributed for more consistent sales. I think one of the biggest things that guys struggle with, and they that kind of keeps them from taking the leap in this industry, is feeling like they just yo-yo all over the place with sales. 1 month's great, 1 month's terrible, 1 month's great, 1 month's terrible. And I think Trey can speak, and these other guys can probably speak to, our goal is to give more consistent returns across what's being spent on your ads and all of your organic methods. So is that true? Am I speaking out of my butt, or is that true? Or like where are y'all at on that?
You're speaking the truth.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all are just kind of looking at me like, well, I don't know. So okay,
Well,
next.
actually, yeah, my shop manager is right here. He's trying to print something on my printer, but I was a little distracted. But yeah, that's
Okay.
100% true. And I think there's also something I want to mention is like you don't have to have a showroom. You don't have to want to go into a
Right.
commercial space.
Right.
There's a lot of people that reach out to me and they're asking, is it possible to do it in my house or do it in my two
Yep.
car or do it in my current situation? And absolutely it is. The ads that you run, you don't have to have a massive $4,000 or $5,000 ad spend budget. You can get by with 500.
Do $1,000.
We typically suggest the 500 to $1,000 price point, and a 10x on that's $5,000. We're like 2 orders if your average order value is $2,500.
Right.
Super practical to do, super practical to execute that in a two-car space. Um, you could likely do much better than that in a two car garage space.
For sure.
Just more than 2 orders a month. Um, so anyways, it's like you don't have to be a big shop. You
Yeah.
you have to own and embrace the situation you're in. And if it ever makes sense in your goals and aligns with your goals, you can work towards a commercial space or a shared space or a bigger space of some kind.
I love how flexible like the program is, like if you're just a guy who loves woodworking and just wants to be in the garage and build tables, after work and on the weekends, we can get you set up and where, maybe you can knock out 2 or 3 or 4 tables a month just in your free time. Or if you're, at your day job and you're like, I'm getting tired of this. I want to be out on my own. I want to have my own business with my own staff and all these things. We can get you set up on that too. And it's super achievable. And there are dozens and dozens of people who have experienced both sides of that, just the side hustle where they're able to, have some fun money to play around with for their family to vacation on or buy a new car or pay off debt, or the other people who can leave their day job and, go live life working for themselves.
Yeah, it's so true. So a couple things I wanted to just talk about was like, Trey, when you made that move into a commercial space, did we just throw you to the wolves and say good luck, or what was that process like?
No, and it was helpful that Keith was making that move around the same time too. Because I like when he was getting his showroom set up, I was like, all right, what's your layout? We actually have a very similarly spaced area for our showroom, and so he helped me with his layout, and that was helpful. Helping to understand like what should workflow be like. That was something that we talked about on a lot of calls, which really helped as I'm trying to figure out okay, how to organize this space. Like, okay, I've got the space now. What do I do with it? How to organize that? We talked a lot about that. And there's a lot of resources in the program to help you figure out, okay, if you're trying to conduct a woodworking business efficiently as you should, then here are the processes you need to go through. Here's how you need to set things up, have things organized, and that was really helpful laying things out for my space. And the great thing about it is what we were just speaking to, the fact that it's malleable, it's flexible to where you are. So the principles that Zach gives you for setting up a workshop are going to work whether you're in a two-car garage or whether you've got 2,000 square feet and adapting that to your space. So no, the community is definitely very helpful. The program is very helpful getting into this commercial space. There's never been a time where I just felt like I'm out here on my own since joining the program. Before, absolutely. I was
Yeah.
running around like a chicken with my head cut off, not quite knowing what I'm doing. But having this network, having this community, having this program has given me all the support and tools I needed.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll just add to that too is like one of the things that we provide in the program is what I call, it's a spreadsheet that I created for me, really, because I didn't know how to make strategic moves and financially that make sense. So we have a spreadsheet that's called like a growth and production forecasting tool. And like when you go to make a move, like, okay, I'm working out of my garage right now. I have no rent. I don't have any overhead. Man, if I move into the space, it's going to be $2,000 a month. How's that going to affect my take home pay and my profit margins? We actually have a spreadsheet that you can plug all that into and really get true numbers of where you're going to be sitting. Um, Obviously, you need to look at your P&L statement from your actual books, which if you don't have that, we help you get that established too inside the program. But you need to be using that to pull your data from. But yeah, so practically, financially, from a workflow standpoint, we were there with Trey and with Keith and with Luke to help get them into a new space, maximize the space, and make sure that they are getting to what we call a like peak of profitability. And so like when you're stressed out and absolutely overloaded in your two-car garage, that's called a peak of profitability because you don't have any overhead, right? You're going to be really profitable and really stressed out. Well, when you first make the leap into a commercial space, you're not going to be at a peak of profitability. You're going to be very unprofitable because you don't have the work to fill up the space yet. So then we got to fill out how much work can we actually produce out of this space? How many employees will it support? And where do we need to be spending in ads? And how much effort do we need to be putting forward and on the front end acquisition side of things so that we can fill this space up, get and really maximize the profitability inside of it. So okay, so Trey, you've been here for a while. You've seen a lot of people come and go. You've seen a lot of people that have not come in and been successful inside the program. And you have seen a lot of people that have been successful in the program too. And you've seen the faces and the personalities and the brands that have lasted. What is really the difference from your perspective of the guys that seem to do great and the guys that seem to struggle in the program? What are if somebody was thinking about joining and they were afraid that they weren't going to succeed, what would they need to know in order to come in and be successful?
Yeah, just be coachable. We all have our slight variations and differences in doing things and the habits we pick up as woodworkers and things like that. And there's room for that flexibility for sure. But also be coachable. And when Zach says, "Hey, I know what I'm talking about here," he pretty much knows what he's talking about there because he's been there, he's done that, and he's failed forward, in the past, and then flourished from that point. And so I think one of the things that I've noticed on the people that have come in, they really haven't been malleable. They haven't been clay. They've been raw. And so when they get feedback or when there's a suggestion made or, hey, try this, do this, they really haven't been on board with that. One of the things I think that is hard for a lot of guys that are woodworkers is we're not content creators. We're not social media gurus. And I know that was one of my hurdles was just learning how to have a presence and to be consistent with that. And I really had to listen to Zach several times when he said, "Hey, you need to be posting more. You need to be posting more. You need to be posting more." I'm like, the ads didn't work like I wanted them to this month. Okay, did you post? No. All right. Well, there it is. And so, just having to get out of my own way. And I think for a lot of guys, that's kind of been the struggle is, can you be coachable? Can you take constructive criticism, feedback to help you flourish? That's been the biggest thing I've seen between, a make or break.
Yeah, an example of that would be like, hey, have you done your like lumber pricing, right? If you get your wood from a lumber yard down the road and they're charging you $8 a board foot for red oak, and then we come to you and say, all right, we can probably get a better deal on that. Have you called the local lumber yards in your region? And some guys have been like, yes, I have, or there's no better price for red oak. And I'm like, there's definitely a better price. You needed to go do some work. Like, we're not going to do it for you. We can't go call the lumber yards for you. You need to go do that work. And some guys put their foot to the ground and I don't want to do that, or they say they have when in reality they haven't. Or it's just like you have to get out of your comfort zone. You got to go make a call. You got to go send an email, and then you got to follow that up and see it through to really know if you're getting the best price on X, Y, or Z. Um, and that's something we do. I need to do more often, but it's something you should be doing like on a quarterly basis or seasonal basis to make sure you're getting the best price and stuff. And like that little stuff goes a long way in being profitable and growing.
Well, and I think the reason that guys don't do things is that we recommend is that they just don't see it being it being valuable. In their brain, they're like, what difference does it make? Well, the difference it makes is that if you go from paying $8 a board foot and you find another lumber supplier that can give it to you for $5.50 a board foot, well, you just saved 30% on your material costs. And when you save 30% on your material costs, you can either pass that savings on to customers and sell your products for substantially less, therefore getting more conversions and more sales, or you can increase your profit margins dramatically and have more money to put in your pocket at the end of each month. But a lot of guys are like, what difference does it make if I save a couple pennies here, a couple dollars here? They don't think it's valuable. But we really have a process for speaking specifically to what Keith is talking about for like helping you find the best prices, helping you find the best vendors, helping you find the best terms. So like they can deliver it to me. I don't have to go pick it up. They can mill my lumber for me at the mill so that I am getting it and basically putting it on a table saw, running it down a table saw, getting two parallel lines, and I'm rocking and rolling, like there are so many little things that we do that we think, oh, this is best practice, that there are little tweaks in the conversations that we can make, the connections that we make with these suppliers that can dramatically increase your efficiency and your profitability as well. So sweet.
And we ease you into things. It's not like you join the program and we give you 10 pages of just stuff you need to go do, like call your lumber supplier, call and all these things and overwhelm you. It's just this slow process of becoming, that peak of profitability. And we kind of ease you into it because we want you to have like the work-life balance and all those things. And, we don't want you to get overwhelmed and all that. Like we're here for you so you can grow personally and also, professionally.
I've heard guys say they feel like they're drinking from a fire hose in the first month or two, and it can feel like that because you want to get to where you want to go right away, but it's really one foot in front of the other, one thing at a time. Turn back the fire hose. You're drinking from the sink or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I'll just add to that, like, we don't have any contracts in the program. So like you're not coming into the program and signing like a 3 month or a 6 month or 9 month contract to where it's like you're on the hook to pay the monthly program fee for a allotted amount of time. So it's month to month. And some guys come in but I tell everybody, and I say, if you can give us 60 days, like if you will come into the program and like commit to the first 2 months, number one, well, you'll figure out the sales process typically by about the middle of the second month is typically how that goes. By about the middle of the second month, you're figuring out how to talk to people, how to follow people, how to establish a CRM. You're figuring out the front end acquisition game. But then by 60 days, all the new information that makes you feel overwhelmed has worn off. So you're establishing new routines, new habits, new traits inside of the program that's going to sustain you long term from a growth standpoint. If you come in for 30 days and you try to make a judgment after 30 days of where you sit, yeah, you're getting bombarded. There's a lot of new information. You're getting bombarded with information. You still feel clunky with the sales process. So you're probably not seeing the sales results that you really want to see yet. But if you can stick with it for 2 months, I don't really know of very many guys that have been in the program for 2 months that were leaning into the coaching, that were asking lots of questions, that were having us review your messaging, that did not start seeing really great results. And so, okay, I got a couple more questions for you, Trey, and I'll let you get off here. I know you're trying to get back to getting stuff done, but what are some of your goals with your business? What's the horizon look like for you, short term, long term? Obviously, you're called to do what you do during the day. You're called to be a pastor, called to be a preacher. And so what part does this woodworking business play in your life in the short term and in the long term?
So for me, and again, I kind of fell into this as a business in terms of like I never started out that way, but it just became what it is, and through um, the process, what I've learned is business is super difficult. Like it is probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, and I did not know that going in. Like if you would have asked me like, hey, do you want to give like X amount of time and hours and like blood and sweat and tears to this thing, and at times it's going to really disappoint you and be really hard, and other times it's going to be really great and you're going to have a mountain. I probably said no, just give me something like I just want a Coke and I'll go sit in a lawn chair. Like give me something really easy.
Yeah.
I don't want the ups and the downs. So going into it, not knowing that, and then coming to realize that, and being talked through and trained through the process of growth, what I've come to realize is it is a full time thing. Like it is, you are on call 24/7. I mean, you're not going to be making, well, okay, sometimes I have made tables at 2 in the morning, but typically, hopefully, you're going to organize things so you're not making tables at 2 in the morning. But being a business owner, it's always on. And so, what has really helped me and what's really inspired me is Zach, and he's also in the pastoral ministry and was a woodworking business owner, trying to find that balance. I'm still trying to find that balance. I feel like that is a lifelong journey of finding balance between work and relationships and different ministries that we're involved in, and recreation, and all that God has blessed us with on this earth. I say all that to say my goal personally is to be less involved in the day to day. And through Zach's help, through Keith's help, through Luke's help, I have made those steps to get out of the business in the ways that I need to be out. And then I'm still engaged and still involved in parts that still need my personal hand and ownership in. But one thing that's been really cool that I never expected is that this has been a ministry in and of itself. We're talking to people about their family, we're talking to people about their lives, about their homes, about the memories that they have made, the memories that they hope to make. Sometimes we hear about great joys, sometimes we hear about great loss, and I've been able to pray with and check up on customers in the past, or even if they never buy from us, still we learn their story and have a chance to connect, and that's been really cool. So I don't want to see this thing go. I don't want to unplug so much that I'm just sort of drawing a paycheck at the end of the day. But at the same time, I've been trying to scale and grow sustainably and smartly, but also in a way that I can step out when I need to step out. And so my goal, I've got several employees right now, 3 part-time employees that work in the shop. I've got another guy that does admin and leads for me. And then I'm still kind of the face, and I'll handle sales. I would love to, kind of be free of all of that, and maybe come in and help the guys out from time to time, and then meet customers here at the showroom, establish those relationships. That's kind of my goal in terms of like what my day to day in the business looks like. Financially, I don't know, man. Seeing where Keith has gone, seeing where Luke has gone, seeing where several other guys who've come through the program, what success they've had, that's inspiring to me. And if we can have $30,000 to $40,000 months, we can go beyond that. Like I said, my disappointments have been other people's dreams. Keith's disappointments have been my dreams, and continuing to work towards that.
I love it. I want to just share briefly too something that you talked about. Like this is, your business has been a ministry kind of in and of itself. And
Yeah.
for me, like the woodworking business program, accelerator program has been the same. So like, some of the calls that we have, we're just here to build up and encourage each other. And Um, I don't want to get into a ton of the details, but there about a year and a half ago, Trey got into a car accident, and um, there was a mistake that his insurance company had made where it was like they weren't going to replace your vehicle, right? Like, or they were fighting with you about replacing your vehicle because you had been like, hey, here's all my information, make sure it's insured. They had told you that it was insured, but then they didn't have a record of it that it was insured or something crazy, right?
Mhm.
And so Trey came to me and you'd already been in the program a year and a half. Like, you were like a pillar in the program, and you're like, man, I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna have the money to continue to stay in the program, continue to spend money on ads. And like, I just felt like the Lord just put it on my heart, like, hey, let's help a brother out. And so that, like, that month, I put out a call to everybody that was in the program and was like, hey, Trey's an incredible dude. He's had a really just unfortunate event happen. Can we pull together to, like, send Trey some support, and like, I'll run his ads for free this month. Like, the thing is like, hey, can we pull together some support for his ad spend, and I won't charge him a thing this month. And like, we were able to keep new customers and new business flowing in for you, even in spite of like kind of just a bizarre situation that you were facing. And so, like, I don't know the whole side of that story. And I think it all got resolved, didn't it? Didn't the insurance company decide to honor what they were supposed to do?
It did. So about 3 months after the accident happened, they did. Um, but yeah, so it wasn't only my truck, but it was the other people's vehicle, their medical
Mm.
expenses. They were coming after me. I was being sued. It was a big, hairy mess, and like I was in one of the lowest places I've ever been. Just having that financial, legal, you know, weight, freight on my back. Um, and so I didn't know, I didn't expect to talk about this today, but I'm glad that we are. Um, the support, the prayers, the financial help from guys in the program at that point, like, I would not still be, I wouldn't still be in business today if it weren't for that. And
Yeah, it's
it,
also cool. You're going through life in the business. You're growing your craft and your whatever you're doing with guys that are doing the exact same thing. Like, I remember a couple times making a video or just explaining where my head was at. I was in a down place, a poor mindset, and I was just getting it off my chest to the group, and I was uplifted by the group, and that really helped me get through that little time. And that's what I love about the group. I always say the Slack community and the group is one of the most valuable things that I get from being in the program. So I am a coach, but I'm very much a peer, and very much still getting a lot of value from the other people in it. And I can't stress that enough.
Well said.
Well, Trey, man, I just want you to know, like, I have loved getting to do life with you. I've loved getting to see you grow, see your business grow. As a pastor, the question we always ask is, how do we become more like Jesus? And you have become a woodworker and a successful one at that. So, the most like Jesus out of most people. And so, but man, I just genuinely, like, I'm super glad that you're a part of the program. I'm super glad that you um, have been a voice in the program for so many guys, and an encouraging voice. And you've been a big part of what has made it what it is. And so, I just want to honor you. I want to give you a shout out, give you some love, man, and just tell you I'm so grateful that you my podcast fell across your feed one day, because we've been doing this for a long time, and hopefully we continue to do it for a long time together. So,
absolutely, man. Thank you. Thank all of the three of you for everything that y'all added to my life and everybody that's in the program. It just it speaks volumes to who you are, that you're willing to pour in um, just to people, and like you said, it's a ministry. Thank
For
you for
sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, y'all got any other questions? Anything else we want to extract from Trey's brain while we got him?
So I'm really great at imperfect metaphors. All metaphors are imperfect, but I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking about like who succeeds and who doesn't.
Yeah.
The people that don't succeed are the people that come to Zach and expect that Zach and Keith and Luke and the coaching program are going to be in the ads that are being run like it's going to be an ATM. Like you just put your card in and like it's going to shoot money out. It's not. It's kind of like you guys remember going to the arcade and there was that game. It's kind of like a dome, and you put like a quarter in a slot, and the quarter fell down or the token fell down, and there was these like
Pushers.
sweeps,
Yeah.
pushers that were like pushing
Yeah,
coins out.
coin dozer.
Dude, that was my favorite game. I loved that game. You're trying to time that token drop at the right time. Um, but that's more it. It takes the art, it takes the skill, it takes the know-how that you learn and you get in the program, but you got to apply some effort. It's not just going to shoot money out at you. I mean, we make a lot of money in this program, and that's wonderful. But I think the guys that come in thinking, all right, well, I'm just going to pay Zach to do this, and then he's just going to turn it around. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to lean in. You've got to ask questions. You've got to get on the coaching calls. Um, and if you'll just do those very honestly, at the end of the day, very simple things, it's going to work out for you. At least that's been my experience and what I've seen from others as well.
Well said. That's a well said, Trey.
Absolutely.
That was a perfectly imperfect metaphor. Good job.
Coin dozer. Not a slot machine, it's a coin dozer.
Yeah.
Dozer,
That's
yeah.
fair. And also the same, even to build on that metaphor, is that you don't get little drops of coins all the time with the dozer. You get nothing, 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 and boom, you get a bunch all at once. And that seems to be the way that it at times works inside of the program as well. Like I know all of you guys have had weeks of like dry spells from a sales standpoint, but it's like you'll get to the end of the month and boom, 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 boom. You'll land three or four deals. It's 10 or 15 grand, right? We were on a call yesterday, and yesterday's call was super fun. Like the
Yeah.
wins, the
Yeah,
wins.
I was all jacked up. I was like, let's go.
Me too.
Everybody sharing wins. They were literally so fired up. They were like, you could hear their smile hurting their face, like as they're sharing their wins. They're having such a good time. And so I don't know, it's just super, super encouraging. And like a couple of the wins were, I haven't sold anything all month. And like in the last week, I've sold 20 grand, you know, and that tends to happen too in the program. But that's just sales in general, I think. I think that sometimes I would prefer that we got like a certain number of sales every other day, or every week, but sometimes it just comes in waves, and you'll have waves of a dry spell where it's like, man, I'm not seeing anything hit, and then a wave of everything hitting at once. And so, but cool. Well, guys, I appreciate each of you. Trey, thanks for taking time, man. Thanks for being on the podcast, and thanks for being a part of the program and being an encouraging voice to everybody else. You're as much a contributor as you are a client. So I really appreciate you. Love you for that. For all of y'all listening, thanks for checking out Bonus Round with Zach and Keith and Luke and our special guest today. If you have any questions about the Woodworking Business Accelerator program, feel free to hit any of us up. You can hit up Fellowship Furniture on Facebook or Instagram. You can hit up Legacy Hardwood. You can hit up the Timber Garage. You can find me personally on Instagram and Facebook as well, just Zach Vaught. But hopefully these interviews are helping people kind of see what actually is going on in the program and kind of what are the stories, what are the success stories and the stories of loss or stories of failure inside the program as well. So, but with that being said, guys, appreciate all of you, and we will catch you on the next one.